Hello and welcome to the Four Ps Podcast. First of all, I want to say today that it is beautiful here in Asheville, North Carolina today. We are going to be experiencing some winter weather, which is fine. I mean, we're in the mountains of North Carolina. What can you do? But I just want to brag to my people up in Buffalo that we are having great weather today. We are going to get a snowstorm here in Asheville here in the next couple days, and it's going to get cold. And when I mean cold, all right, so here cold, it's going to be like 35, 36 degrees, and people think, oh my gosh, it is freezing. And so, what can you do, right? But anyway, welcome to the Four Ps Podcast today. Today we have a guest that is, I always say we have an outstanding guest, and we do. Every single guest we've ever had on this show is outstanding. This guest is very inspirational, motivational, and basically everything that I talk about on this podcast, that you can overcome anything, everything that my guests talk about on this podcast, that you can get through anything, you can persist if you have a purpose and this, that, and the other, all that stuff. This man is the embodiment of everything we've ever talked about on this podcast for the last almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in August. Yeah, I think it'll be 2 years in August. No, we started in 23, so it'll be 3 years in August. Oh my goodness gracious, we've been talking a long time. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. This man's name is Ben Whitehouse. He's out of Adelaide, Australia, down in the state of Victoria. When you hear what he has to say, when you hear what he does, when you hear what he did, you are going to be shocked. You are going to be inspired. You are maybe even be a little angry. You are going to be watching your P's and Q's wherever you live in the world. You're going to be watching P's and Q's because you never know. It is something for you to be mindful of, especially when you hear a story, and we'll talk about this when we come back. But I will say this right now. I had 3 interactions with him. And right off the bat, I knew that this is somebody that not only do I want to have on my podcast, this is somebody I want to work with. This is somebody who I want to be in my circle. So when we come back, we will have Ben Whitehouse all the way from Victoria, the state of Victoria, Australia. It's in South Australia. We'll be right back right after this.
Every story begins with the truth. Some stories are meant to inspire. Some are meant to heal. All deserve to be heard. At Veritas Publishing House, we bring truth to life through the written word. At Veritas, we guide authors from vision to visibility with purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. This is more than just publishing. It's legacy. Veritas Publishing House, publishing truth, inspiring purpose.
Welcome back to the Four Ps Podcast. I am your host, Trunnis Goggins, and today I'm always wearing something with sports on it. Today I'm wearing the Buffalo Bills. During the time that we are recording this, we are just an hour away from a thrilling playoff road win. It was the very first. I want you guys to put this in perspective. The last playoff road win, I was literally about a month away from being legally able to drink in the United States of America. I was 21. I was 20 years old the last time they won. Today, I am 55. I am the grandfather of 5 children. Yes, 5. I had to count. I'm the grandfather of 5, and they finally won their first road playoff game, and God knows when. The last time they won a road playoff game, they went to the Super Bowl, so let's hope this happens. And now I'm sitting here today with Ben Whitehouse, who lives in Australia, so far away from Buffalo, New York, it's not even funny. So you're probably like, who cares, right? And, and I will say this, though. The football in Australia is fantastic. But I will say this, too. The guest I have today is absolutely fantastic. Ben Whitehouse, and I'm going to tell you before I let him speak, and I'm very sorry if I'm taking a lot of time. Before I let him say anything, I saw his story briefly he shared it on Facebook, and his strength, his resilience, his persistence compelled me to make sure he was on this program, because what the story he's about ready to share with you, and not only the story, but if when you hear his persistence and his drive and his determination, you are definitely going to get something out of this. And whatever you're going through, you know what? I'm going to tell you, you can get over it, I'm sure. Ben Whitehouse, thank you so much for being a part of the program. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be over there, and I do understand the passion for sports. You know, we're kind of sports mad here in Australia, so football and cricket particularly are big sports. So yeah, I'm glad you've got your passion for that. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, I went to Australia in March of 2025, and fell in love with rugby while I was over there. I know we do play rugby over here, but I absolutely fell in love with it. The Wallabies, I really do love watching them play, and it's just fantastic to watch. It's great. So thank you very much. So can you tell the audience what part of Australia you reside?
I'm from Adelaide, South Australia. So if you look at Australia, it's like the big bite that's been taken out in the middle. I'm just in that bite section there.
Roger that. Very good. And you know, the funny thing about your time is you are actually you're a half hour. You have a half hour time frame. So you're a half hour. You're in a different time zone, which is 30 minutes late or earlier than Sydney. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
That is the oddest thing, because you know even when I was scheduling this, I was like, okay, this time I was like, whoa, is a 30-minute difference there? So let me make sure I factor that in. Why is it 30 minutes?
We have a thing called daylight saving, and they like to change the clocks and to make sure we get more sunlight. And I don't really understand it. There's arguments to and against it every year. It should change. It shouldn't change. But yeah, it's just we're all used to the quirks of it here, so it's just one of those head scratches, and the rest of the world scratches their head as well. But we do things a bit different.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's fine. And you know, but I will tell you, you're a bit different as well, Ben. Like I said, I saw your story briefly, and then we did discuss it a little bit. We are going to be hanging out when I do come to Australia, but I do want people to know, because one thing, your story is unique. Your story is actually, and even though life is unfair, so I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, it's so unfair, but I will say that your story is. It is unfair, and that's time. This is one time that I can legitimately say this and not say it in a bad way, and not say it like a victim either. Tell the audience exactly what happened.
Okay, we have a family tradition in my family, like a lot of families, and it's the cornerstone of really the traditions you hand down from generation to generation. I'm sure you have similar things, and given that my family came from the UK, we had a tradition of making a small firework in November for what we call Guy Fawkes Night. And from there, my parents taught me, and I taught my children, and it literally was just a toilet roll. And when I say that, I mean a toilet roll, the ends of a toilet roll, and I put some sparklers that you put on top of a birthday cake inside of that, and we light it off and just let it burn, and a bit of a tradition. In November 2019, I did that for my children. Come December, I hadn't actually used those because we're in fire danger season over here, and we chose not to set them off to be safe. On the 1st of December 2019, there was a pounding knock at the door and then a crash. And we had our SWAT team come crashing into my house and arrest me. I had no idea what was going on. I was in hospital for several days. And then I was charged with the manufacture of an improvised explosive device ×2. I spent 1,827 days in prison. That's 5 years, because their experts said, and I'm no bomb squad expert, so their experts said that my device would seriously injure someone within a 5 metre radius.
Sparklers?
Sparklers in a toilet roll. Yep. Again, it's one of those things that you have to accept certain situations you're put in life. And at the end of 5 years, I accepted that had been what had happened to me. When I was in there, I decided, rather than become bitter like so many people that I knew in there, I was going to become better. Now, I'd spent 20 years before this helping people around the world in a variety of different theatres and different circumstances. So I figured that I've got to update my skills and become better while I'm in there. So I read feverishly in there, 20 books a month, because I could get them in from outside libraries, improving myself so when I got out I could really hit the ground running. So when I was released, I got out and my paperwork said I was released into homelessness because I had lost everything while I was in prison. I'd lost my family, my 2 children. I had lost all of my money, all of my worldly things, which they're just things. And I walked out the front of where they released us from into homelessness with absolutely nothing. We're talking no phone, no money, no accommodation, no car, no computer, no anything. And I stood there for a second and went, you know what? I could sit here and say this is unfair and I could wallow in this, or I do what I do and I embody the phrase that I've lived with my entire life, which is failure is not an option. So I looked around and went, I've got to get going. It's time to get moving. So I did. I went and I found a payphone. In Australia, they're free to use, so I grabbed a payphone and started making calls. I needed accommodation. I needed shelter. I needed somewhere to stay. I phoned around until I found somewhere that would allow me to stay there. I didn't have the money to pay for it, but I made a booking because I knew I would find the way to do this. So I had shelter. Next thing I needed was ID, because the world works now on identification. So I ran and got that. Got all these things that I needed. So I got identification, went through, was able to open a bank account to find somebody had scammed $5,000+ out of my account while I was away. I set all of these things up. Wasn't able to get a mobile phone because you need photo ID in Australia to be able to get a mobile phone.
Right.
So I made more calls, relentlessly searching, trying to get in touch with somebody that would help me out. A dear friend of mine got me a mobile phone. I decided this is it. I went full on, had my accommodation, had my emergency money that I applied for and got from the government because I had my ID now, and thought, yep, I'm on my way. I'm ready. I'm starting to build momentum. I was released on a Thursday. I had my first appointment with my corrections officer who was going to be monitoring me the following Monday. I walked into there saying, I've done this, I'm ready to get back on my feet, here I am, I've really been proactive, thinking they're going to go, this is fantastic, it's good to see you getting back out there and getting on with your life. One of the first things they said to me was, we're actually going to put a blanket ban on you working, you're not allowed to work, you're not allowed to get any job. You can try and survive off the government benefits for now, but that's all you can do. And we want to put you on this restriction for another 5 years. I thought that was somewhat unfair. So I reframed and said, okay, since failure is not an option, what can I do around this? So I looked at all the options I had, and I had to fight. I had to go through the different levels of our judicial system, all the way up to the Supreme Court here in South Australia. And it took 10 months. I did 11 community programs to satisfy the court that I was a good person and ready to actually do what it is that I want to do, which is work. So I relentlessly pursued myself and improved myself over that time. I studied AI, I got all my qualifications updated, I did everything I needed to do. Mm-hmm. The court saw that I'd made such a monumental shift in those 10 months that it removed the restriction and allowed me to work. So then I really got going. And from there, I've built a successful coaching business now. I'm consulting again. I've got a good community around me. So It's
So you had to prove to yourself, it is absolutely possible. You had to prove to yourself that you were a good person, and here you are just before, and all you had was a toilet paper roll and some candles, some sparklers.
Yes. I
And
did
you
have
had
an
to prove.
antique air rifle, so I will admit I had an antique air rifle. It was rusted and didn't work or anything like that. It was in a box that my grandfather had left to me years ago, but that wasn't something that was a major part of my offending, as they call it. The two explosive devices were. Yeah.
And then so you lost your kids. Do you have a relationship with them at all now?
I'm forbidden from having any contact with them whatsoever. Like my son, which is William, and my daughter, which is Jessica, my Will and Jessie, are my entire world. I just love them so much. I had full custody of them before I went away, and I have such an amazing bond with my two children, and they have an amazing bond with me. They have made it clear to a variety of different friends that they are really keen to be back in touch with me, and I'm really keen to be back in touch with them. It's just a slow process here to get that ban that we have in place lifted. But I'm working every single day to try and make that happen.
You know, and I whatever. I mean, I'm 13,000 miles away. I don't know what I could do, but you know, I would love to bring awareness to this, to the audience and everybody else like that. You know, you deserve. I mean, you didn't do anything to your children. You didn't do anything, period, to be honest with you. I mean, I mean, and I'm sorry that you know, that happened. But now you've gone, and this is the thing, a lot of people, and it doesn't matter where, in the Western world, and I consider Australia to be a part of the Western world, the prison systems, and I say that in plural, are almost designed for you to come back. And not come back to society, come back to prison. It is almost a system where you know, they put so many, like for example, what you just said, where you were banned from going to work. You know, there are, you know, if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there are three needs that you absolutely need. You need food, water, shelter. Okay? So now we're going to take because you're not working, we're going to take your means of obtaining food, water, shelter. They said you can rely on the government as long as you can until those benefits run out, and then they come out with some other catch-22 to make sure that those benefits aren't there anymore. And then what are you going to do? You are going to get, it's just human nature to get desperate and do this and do things that you're not supposed to do, or things that are against the law. Your case, you went out and you always said failure's not an option. You were always trying to find a way. You never ever said, "Wow, this door is closed." And you know, when the door closed, you were looking for windows.
Yep.
You said this is something that you lived by, something your family lived by. Can you give us an example of like even that? Because obviously this it's just like ingrained in you. Can you give us an example of something that happened, you know, younger that caused you to keep this drive?
My family was always incredibly resilient in choices that they made, and they bred that in me in particular. I was always like tall, strong, you know, resilient in that sense. So they really fostered that in me, which I'm forever grateful for. Because other members of our family didn't quite embody that concept. But for me, it was really this really powerful thing that came into my mind, that just failure is not an option, you know, and something that was told to me when I was a child. One of my grandfathers was a doctor, and he really instilled in me that all the generations that came before us, all their genetics, all the timing had to be just perfect for me to be standing here. I'm the success of all of my ancestors. I'm the surviving proof, and the surviving result of all of their sacrifice and everything that they did. And that really resonated with me. So I feel I have a responsibility for that. And now I have children, I have a responsibility to ensure that they get everything that I can possibly give them, so they can be a success. So that really is where that failure is not an option came from.
That is an amazing concept. I mean, to think about it, all the things had to land right for you to be standing here. All the genetics, all the choices, every choice ever made almost throughout history, since the beginning of time, had to be made for you to be right where you are today. And it was not by accident, obviously.
Yeah.
Today, you are a successful coach. You are inspiring people around the world, and it's been a short time. So you did. So you went to prison in 19. You got out in 24. Am I correct by saying that
Correct.
or no?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
So now here we are. We're at 26 barely.
Yeah.
We're 11 days from this recording. We're 11 days into 26, and by the time that this is released, we're 13 days into 26. And you are doing great things. What exactly do you do when it comes to coaching?
I have a therapy background. So 25 years ago, I studied psych, I studied hypnotherapy, and counselling. So I come from a very therapeutic heavy background, and I went into business, and I love sales and selling. So in negotiation, persuasion, that's been the dominant theme of my life in business. So when I got out of prison, and it was only in end of September that I had the ban lifted for me to be able to work. So everything I've done is since then. I really noticed that one-on-one, I can only help so many people. My time is limited with how much I can help people one-on-one. So it's about leveraging and multiplying my ability to help people. Now, the coaching industry has just skyrocketed over the last 5 or 10 years, really. And I noticed that so many coaches have a passion, like a proper passion for helping people, and they can really help people. And they're really great at that process. They're really great at talking to people about their skill. But then something changes in them when they need to talk about sales or ask about money or their program. They become robotic and they become uptight, and they either don't ask for it, therefore they can't help people. I can help people with that, because I'm not about teaching people pushy sales tactics or tricks or manipulation. I'm really about bringing real honest conversations to the sales process, and just really saying, look, it's really just coaching or talking to people and asking some questions and genuinely wanting to help people. And when you phrase it like that, and you help them set up just exactly what their offer is going to be, so it's really clear for people, it doesn't feel like a sale, because it's not. It's like you're helping a friend. And coaches are really resonating with that, because no one wants to feel pushy. No one wants to feel salesy. They don't want to feel sleazy. So I can help them feel that way, and it really resonates with them. And then I can help them. They enroll more people, and that's the multiplier effect.
That is a beautiful thing. We're doing this early today. Early for you. It's 5 something here in the United States right now while we're recording this. And we did this early today because you have an event going on right now in your neck of the woods. What is that?
We've actually just finished a 3-day boot camp where all these coaches got together. There was over 600 of us, and we just really got together and understood how to level up our business. And the remarkable coaches in the group that I'm in, it's really like we're part of a family now. I came out searching for my tribe and searching for my people, because that's certainly something that was taken from me. I left, I went into prison for 5 years, I came out and not being able to work, and I wasn't allowed to associate with charities or any organisations as well. I couldn't volunteer, couldn't do anything. So for 10 months, I wasn't allowed to associate with people really. So when the ban was lifted, I had to go and find my people. I found it volunteering in Rotary and some of the other volunteering things that I do here in South Australia and around the world. But finding my tribe of coaches and talking to them and really understanding that they have big goals. They have this belief that the world can be a better place.
Right.
And I'm a big believer in you have to be the change in the world that you want to see. Because you have to be there going, I'm going to be this person. I'm going to show you how to be this person. So that's what I believe.
One last question. If you have something, and I'm going to tell you right now, I hope, I'm not even going to say I hope, because there's no hope about it. I know that everybody listening to this podcast episode right now has gotten something out of it. I know that a lot of people are extremely motivated, or at least I don't want to say motivated. I want to basically say inspired by what you just said, because it brings about a fire in them as well, that they, regardless of their circumstance, failure is not an option. I want you, if you can, leave my audience with one nugget of advice that they can carry with them for the rest of the week and into the rest of their lives if possible.
Life will knock you down. It absolutely will. It hits you hard sometimes and totally unfairly. And sometimes fairly, and you've got to accept that.
Right.
But if you understand that it doesn't matter how many times you get hit, if failure's not an option, if that drive is in you to continue to get back up, life will submit. You will get stronger, and those hits get easier to take. And that's why failure is not an option.
That is a beautiful statement. It is a beautiful thing, and that's probably one of the reasons why instantly I knew that you were a friend of mine, Ben. I really did. Instantly, like automatically, I knew that this guy was somebody that I wanted to hang out with forever, and I definitely want somebody like you in my corner, and I really do appreciate it. We're going to be together, like I said, in March. You and I were still putting things together and things like that, but I do, and I also do want to say that Stories of Persistence, the book that is coming out at the end of the year, part of the Stories of franchise. This man right here, and I'm pointing to my computer screen like you know which way I'm pointing, but this man right here will will be in the book. His chapter, like I said, I am just motivated and inspired by him right now as we speak. Ben, thank you so much. I'm going to let you get back to your day. Thank you for taking time out for us. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ben Whitehouse from the summery, hot Adelaide. Is it Victoria or Adelaide? You're in Victoria. You're in Adelaide, right?
It's
South Australia.
Yeah.
You're right. We will talk to you real soon, and you'll see pictures of him and I running around South Australia here in a couple weeks, or almost 12 weeks. Yeah, it's not that far away, and we will be right there. I'll be right back right after this.
Lessons from My Father is a powerful father-son story about love, conflict, forgiveness, and legacy. It explores how a deeply flawed man could leave an undeniable imprint on his son, his community, and generations that followed. This book honors the truth. Influence doesn't require perfection, only presence, impact, and lessons that endure. Lessons from My Father, releasing January 19th, 2026.
Welcome back to the 4Ps podcast. One thing I do want you to know about Ben is you're going to read his entire story in our upcoming book, Stories of Persistence. Yes, we are mixing the stories of with the 4Ps for our last book of the year. Now, Stories of, if you remember Stories of, we have two books coming out a year. We always do this. This is a book where we highlight stories of people that have done great things. Obviously, you know our story of children lost. That is, unfortunately, that is not really a story of great things at all. That is a story of how to deal and how to handle grief. You know my stories of veterans. Everyone in that book, they are nothing but heroes. They are awesome individuals, and they are friends of mine. One actually recruited me into the United States Navy in that book. Also, we had stories of friends and family loss, which is almost an extension of stories of children lost. But again, how to handle and how to deal with grief. We're all going to go through that. The next one we had at the end of last year was so powerful. And it was stories of transgression and recovery. And all of those individuals in that book were extremely brave to share their story. It was just unbelievable. The next book we have coming out in March of 2026 is Stories of Miraculous Transformation. These are people that have gone through so many different things, had so many different things happen to them, and they transformed. They didn't sit there and they transformed in a positive way. Obviously, that's why it's miraculous. But they didn't transform. They didn't give up. They actually moved forward, and they became something way better than who they are. And the stories that you are going to read in the book Miraculous Transformation, they are almost stories of, I should say, stories of impossibility, because that's what it is. A lot of these stories, it's impossible for these individuals to get to where they are today. And so that book comes out March of 2026. Now, The reason why I'm bringing that up is because in the end of Stories of, for the 2026 year, we are going to have Stories of Persistence, like I mentioned before. Ben's story is going to be in that book. What you got today was a 20 some odd minute snippet of exactly what this man's all about, who this man is, and what this man's about. One thing I do want to tell you about this, before I go on and talk about Stories of Persistence a little bit more. One thing I do want to say about this is, remember what I said, you may want to watch what you do. What he did was, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to, I mean, it's just, he made I'm thinking about all the crap I've done for my kids out of fun. Just be mindful of what's on the books in your state, or province, wherever you live. You want to be mindful. City, municipality, doesn't matter. Be mindful of what's on the books so you don't go through what he went through. It was awful what he went through. But also, use his story to inspire. This man said there is no such thing as failure. Failure is not an option. You either succeed or you succeed better. Okay, that's all he had. Those are the only two choices he had. And I just put three fingers up, but this is two. It's the only thing that he had on this table as far as options. Do not fail, and that's it. Okay, a lot of times we look in situations and we look at what cannot be done, and that leads us to failure. When we look at what cannot be done, that leads us to either not doing it at all or just total failure. I talk about that with exercise and things like that. I mean, if I sat there and said all of the things that I had wrong with me and the reason why I couldn't exercise, I would never go to the gym, okay? But as a result of that not going to the gym, there's so many other things that are going to happen to me. One of my dear friends in Australia, his name is Jason Dunn. He has a nickname for me, and I'm going to reveal this in this podcast. The nickname is Cupcake. And the reason why is because I have to have sweets. I have to have candy. I have to have, my favorite. I mean, shoot, you put a lemon meringue pie in front of me and him are going to have a date. We're going to hook it up, and I'm going to tell you, only one of us are getting out of this date, okay? And it's me, because I'm going to tear that lemon meringue pie up. So anyway, one day we were in Toronto. We were at the CN Tower, and I went and got, we were hungry. We had dinner up at the CN Tower, and we were at the Word on the Street book fair. Anyway, great book fair, by the way. If you haven't gone, you need to go. It is phenomenal. It's in late September every year, and the weather's always beautiful. Everything about that is it's just the greatest book fair I've ever been to. It's fantastic. But anyway, we're at this book fair. We go up to CN Tower. I used to live in Buffalo, so I used to go to the GTA all the time. And we had dinner up. There's like a little, it wasn't like the really big restaurant, so that you guys listening in Toronto know what I'm talking about. It's like they have like these little food stands in there, right? And then you can sit in the observation and kind of look and eat and stuff like that. It's not the one that spins around in circles. It's just the regular place. So I got some chicken tenders and some fries, because it was there, and then I also had a cupcake with the Canadian flag in it. He took a picture of it. That's been my nickname ever since, and I will tell you right now, I think it's funny, and I use it all the time. But anyway, I have no idea where I was going with that story. Oh my goodness. But anyway, that's where I was going with the story. So what I was saying is, I love sweets. And I work out all the time. And if with my, and I'm going to use this word, and I probably use it freely, with my addiction to sweets, okay, could you imagine without working out at my age, what would happen? So I have to work out all the time, and that's what I do. Now, however, my diet now, and this is the last time I'm going to talk about this, my diet now, since I work out, I put a lot, I'm doing a lot of protein, thanks to another Australian by the name of Joe Jackson. We're going to be doing a CrossFit event together in June in Sydney. I am really looking forward to that. But anyway, with her, I've actually upped my protein. By upping my protein substantially, my sugar cravings are diminishing greatly. So if you have a sugar like me, problem. I do. I'm sorry. My name is Trunnis Goggins, and I have a sugar problem. If you have a sugar problem, then what you want to do is load up on the protein. Load up, and there's some good stuff that's out there with protein, and that is your nutrition update from me, Trunnis Goggins. But Ben is going to be in the book Stories of Persistence. His story is going to be in there. Another thing I want to say, there's a lot of changes going on here at the 4Ps podcast. One is, like last year we had the change where we were going to be, now we're going to be, you can actually see us. It's video. Before we were only audio. Last year we made the decision to go video, and I hope you like it. I hope you like our background and all that other stuff. There's a lot of meaning to this background, all the stuff hanging up behind me and things like that. But now, to this year, we're going to do a couple things. Number one, we have totally upped our game in social media. So there are going to be links in the podcast notes. I want you to get on our social media. Please get on our social media. There are things for you in the social media. So I want you to go ahead and I want you to like, I want you to follow, I want you to do whatever you got to do for the social media. Number two, we have I want to thank DMP for really making our website look so damn good. I mean, it looks beautiful. You're going to love the website. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to the website. Now, there's a reason why I want you to go to the website. Yes, there's some books that I want you to buy on there, you know what I'm saying, so you can hook it up. I got a whole bunch of those. I got another book coming out on the 19th of this month. Called Lessons from My Father. I'll talk about that a little bit here at the end of the podcast. But I want you to go there to look at the book, see what's out there. If you want me to speak at your event, you can register, you can talk, get in there that way and all that other good stuff. The other thing, what I want you to do is this one's exclusively for you. We're going to have 2 contests starting. We have one contest about purpose where I want you, the person who tells me how they, utilized the stories in the 4Ps of you or utilize this podcast to really start thinking about their purpose and who they want to be and what steps they want to take further in life. I want you to write in there. The winner of that will get that book right there with that ugly man's face on it, the 4Ps of You. You'll get the extended edition. It will be signed, all right? And you barely can read my writing, but that's okay. You will like it. There's some great stories in there, not just about me, but about great people like Tessa Williams, Dr. Angela Bennett, a dear friend of mine, Jeff Hanlon, who's a dear friend of mine as well. Tons of people in that book that you would like to hear their stories, and people who've inspired me as well. These are really good people. They're excellent people. I love them to death. And also the foreword is by Sam Humphrey. And he was actually one of the actors in the book, in the movie with Hugh Jackman, The Greatest Showman. He actually played Tom Thumb. He is not only he's a perfectionist, but he's also, he's a guy that, it's funny because even though he's younger than me by a lot, he does things to keep me in line. He's a good guy. I like working with him. I mean, he's a dear friend, and he's just an outstanding person. But he wrote the foreword to this book, and I definitely want you to get the book. And like I said, if you win, and again, the contest rules are in there. One thing that you do have to do is like and subscribe. You can either like and subscribe on Spotify, like and subscribe on YouTube. You should like and subscribe on YouTube regardless. Go to the 4Ps of You channel, and in there, we're gonna have we have clips in there. We have really good stuff. We have past episodes, stuff like that. I want you to make sure you subscribe. But you like and subscribe, number one. Number two, you go to the website, and number three, you register on you register. We already got that. But what we want you to do is we want you to write, and it doesn't have to be a long story about, how this, got the purpose and this, that, and the other. It just has to be really nice. 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, and how you're utilizing the 4Ps in order for you to achieve your goals and to maintain your purpose. That's what I want you to do. Again, the rules will be written, because I talk too fast anyway, but the rules will be on the website right there. When you go to the website, you will see it. Now, the other podcast, 4Ps podcast contest that's in there. We're going to have we're going to have podcasts throughout the year, hopefully. Yes, definitely. We're also going to have contests throughout the year. So this is the first podcast contest, which is the one about purpose. We're going to have one about planning. We're going to have one about passion. But the one about persistence is very, very, very important. Now, with the one about persistence, the winner of that contest, we'll get all the other stuff that I'm giving you, the book. We're going to have a t-shirt. We're going to have a mug. Also, I'm going to tell you, these pens are awesome. You can't really see it right now. I'm going to try to get it as close as possible. But they have 4 Ps. It's got my name on it. So just in case you forget my name, I know I use it. So when I forget my name, most of the time, I always have to look at my pen to see what my name is. But anyway, you get this pen, and these pens write like superb. It's got a little stylus on the back of it, on the top of it, and it's just wonderful. But you get the pen, you get a t-shirt. Now your t-shirt will have purpose, and they're workout t-shirts. They are that dry fit, and they're this color blue. I'm not gonna pull my shirt up and all that stuff like that because I'm working out now, so I look a lot better. But anyway, but you definitely want to get the t-shirt. It's blue with gold letters. It talks about purpose and this, that, and the other. You will get a mug. Now, the mug is not designed yet, but it will be a coffee mug, and it will be, this is T2, because then again, if I forget my name or how to spell it, it's there. But you will get a mug, you will get a book, and this, that, and the other. Now, if you win the persistence, which is going to be you're going to have to turn in your submission for that by August of 26. If you win that, this is what happens. You get all that stuff, but you also become a published author in the stories of persistence. Now, any of my books that I have, the stories of books, every single person shares in the revenue of the book. Okay? You get a percentage of the revenue. And yes, even though you won a contest, your story of persistence, you deserve a reward for what you've gone through. And you also need to share that story with people so they can read and they can be inspired by you. So make sure you'll see both contests on there. You can enter in as many contests as you want. That's fine. If your last name is Goggins, or if you're related to me in any way, shape, or form, sorry, buddy, you cannot be a part of can't be a part of any of the contests. But if you hang out with me a little bit, we might talk about maybe getting you a t-shirt or something like that. But like I said, those are the rules, those are the rewards, and everything else like that. I want to thank Ben Whitehouse for being on the program. I also said that I was going to come back and tell you about what is going on January 19th. On January 19th, we will have the book Lessons of My Father. Now, I know that people have heard a little bit of my story before. If you read my brother's book, Can't Hurt Me, you probably have read about the story of my dad and what has gone on. So, this is not a continuation of that, okay? It's not. It's not even a book written to give my side of the story. It's not. It's to give my perception of what happened. And it's also to share valuable lessons. One thing is I don't care what happens to you, good or bad. You need to draw lessons from that. And those lessons need to be shared with others, because then that person may have a little easier road. And that's what we're here for. We're here to give our loved ones, we're here to give the community a little bit of an easier road. So that way, the world will be better. And so this book, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. It was a hard book to write. I went back, literally all the way back to my birth, and wrote about my experiences. I wrote about my dad's experiences. I wrote about things that I went through. I wrote about how those experiences affected me as a young adult, and now how they have now affected me as I don't want to say old adult because I'm middle-aged or whatever, even though my beard doesn't say that. But anyway, it does share stories. I want, if you are a parent, if you are a spouse, if you are just a businessman, if you're anybody, you need to read this, because I'm going to tell you, those lessons can go across so many. It just goes across every genre. It goes across every race, religion, creed. It goes across every social class. It goes across everything. It is a great book. One thing about this book is I am going to be reaching out. I know that we're one in gender equality is one of the organizations that I'm working with. And gender equality is an organization out of Hobart, Tasmania. Twee Shaw, who was on our program a couple weeks ago, inspired me to start helping this organization. And this organization helps those going through or not going through or getting out of, let me use that word, and transitioning and going into a different life and a different path, but getting out of domestic violence. I want to help people like that. I want this book to help people go through that, or get over that, or get out of that, whatever they have to go through to get out of that and get away from that. That's the most important thing, is to get away from domestic violence. It is a horrible thing, and domestic violence is not just getting smacked in the face. Okay, domestic violence is the way people treat you in every aspect. There are a lot of people going through domestic violence right now and don't even know they're going through it. And I could see it, you could see it, but they can't see it. And this is a great book to help people, or at least realize what they're going through and how they're going through it. It's not just about that book. It's not just about that, but there is a lot of that in this book. It also talks about people coming to terms with a lot of things, coming to terms with life, coming to terms with decisions, coming to terms with just anything. And that's what this book's about. It's a great book. The lessons that I learned from my father, I'm going to tell you right now, in all disclosure, I love my father very much. I'm so glad that man was my father. And you're probably like, what the hell? I really am. And you'll find out why I say that, and you'll understand why I say that when you buy the book. Again, it's called Lessons of the Father. It will be released on January 19th, 2026, just a couple of days, less than a week from the time that this is released. Again, don't forget the contest. Go to the website. The link is in the podcast notes, but the website is 4ps-group.com. And please make sure you go to that website, make sure you register, make sure you go look at the books, hook it up, and you're going to have a great time, reading the books. And like I said, go to the books and hook it up. You can buy them on there. But again, go on the contest. And for that person, I look forward to seeing my next author in the book, Stories of Persistence. And it's going to be great because this will be the first time that a new author is actually a listener of this podcast. And also, like I said, t-shirts, pen, book, mug, all that good stuff. You're going to get that as well. Talk to you next week. And next week we have a doozy of a guest on the show, Misty Nesbitt. You are going to... that's a tough woman right there. I'll tell you that. Talk to you next week. Until then, bye-bye.